Front and Center. Front and Center. A focus on important and significant developments affecting the lives of Filipinos, not only in the Philippines, but also those living and working around the world. Join us in Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Welcome to Front and Center, where we focus on developments in the Philippines, legislation that provides policies and directions that strives to promote a better economy for the country, issues that concern the welfare and well-being of every Filipino. All of these and more will be front and center. You can watch this program on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. That's Radyo Pilipinas World Service, and you can hear this broadcast on our audio streaming over PBS Evox receiver app, also on our shortwave broadcast through following frequencies: 12.020 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.665 MHz. And this is your host, Jerome Toledo. Let's begin Front and Center on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
So let's discuss about this fourth quarter 2025 survey conducted by Octa Research called Tugon ng Masa Survey. This particular survey, the fourth quarter one, commissioned by the Office of the Ombudsman, it said that 7 out of 10 Filipinos consider bribery as the most common form of corruption across the country. And that survey conducted from December 3 to 11 in 2025 through face-to-face interviews with 1,200 adult respondents nationwide. And it mentions that 73% of Filipinos perceive bribery as the most common type of corruption. So that's the top one of most common type of corruption here in the Philippines. And besides bribery, the other forms of corruption includes, that is being stated there in the survey, are irregularities in public funds, which garnered 66%, vote buying, with 64%, and it is notably higher in the Visayas and Mindanao. And the last one is slow justice at 54%. And that survey highlights the corruption in the Philippines is not just viewed through high-level political scandals, but as a lived experience encountered in daily lives. So it affects most, or if not all, most of Filipinos. So what does this mean, and how we can actually or can we truly eliminate bribery through some administrative reforms, or do we have a solution for this one? So let's have a discussion or deep discussion regarding this survey from Octa Research. And to help us discuss this matter, we have on the line the fellow of the Octa Research and also assistant professor of political science at the University of the Philippines, Diliman, Professor Ranjit Rai. Good morning, Professor Ranjit. Thank you so much for joining us in the program, Front and Center on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Yeah, good morning, Jerome, and to all our listeners and viewers all around the world, and of course in the country. Thank you for inviting Octa Research.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so we saw majority of Filipinos, 7 out of 10 or 73%, perceive bribery as a form of corruption. Sometimes, Professor Ranjit, Filipinos feel that they need to give money to officers or officials, or as we locally call it here in the Philippines, padulas, just to hasten basic services. And I heard last time there was an applicant for applying for positions in the Bureau of Fire Protection, and also in the Philippine National Police. They want to get that position by paying certain amount of money. So, based on the survey data, is this a cultural habit that we have accepted, or is this a survival mechanism that is being forced by government inefficiency, Professor?
Well, I think that's a hard question to answer, but I think if we go beyond the survey and look at the literature, I don't think it's cultural. I think it's become a habit to some extent for some people. But it's also a way of surviving in a sense.
Mm.
The other suggestion you were saying that it's a reaction to poorly developed systems,
Mm-mm.
it's a reaction to the corruption that's endemic. So let's give it's important for us to give a background to this study. This study was conducted at the request of the office of the ombudsman.
Mm-mm.
So that by itself says a lot of things about the new ombudsman. He's
Mm.
science-based, he's evidence-based. He likes looking at public opinion
On.
on its particular area, and the ombudsman was saying, we need
Mm.
line study on corruption. Now, so what we're discussing is just one out of a plethora or a large number of questions on corruption. So, but we can't release all of that because it's commissioned by the ombudsman. They've asked us to authorize us to release this. Hopefully next week we'll also release another aspect of the study. So, first to understand, it's a multi-question study. Number two,
Mm.
key finding. Okay, one, one key finding is that Filipinos understand the concept of corruption. They
Mm.
understand it from a very office-centered perspective. More than 7 out of 10 Filipinos understand that corruption is the utilization of public funds for private gain. So they
Mm-mm.
understand it, no? Number two, there, about the same amount of Filipinos, nearly 8 out of 10, are fully aware of this challenge, this problem, and they read it in the newspapers, they hear about it. Okay, now
Mm-mm.
this particular question is the third finding. What is the face of corruption? And the Filipinos recognize these different phases of corruption. So we ask a basic question: what are the top four
Mm-mm.
forms of corruption that you're aware of? So it was a multiple list, and they were given a chance to just name the top four.
Mm-mm.
And so the top four are: number one, bribery at
Mm-mm.
73%, misuse of public funds. The example of this would be the flood
Yes.
control program. Yeah, the 60. These are called the grand or political corruption.
Mm-mm.
Vote buying, okay,
Mm-mm.
and slow justice. The slow justice, vote buying 64%, slow justice is 54%.
Mm.
Slow justice is actually, this was included
Mm.
in the list. This was a form of, although not traditionally a form of corruption, but it's included by our respondents.
Mm-mm.
That justice delayed is justice denied, and we have to remember this is from the perspective of the
Mm-mm.
ombudsman. So what is it saying? Across regions, income classes, ages, and gender, four forms of or four phases, of corruption are perceived by our countrymen. So
Mm.
corrupt class four phases, and Filipinos recognize them very well. And the consistency is striking, whether in NCR, or Mindanao, or whether A, B, C, or E,
Mm.
same four appear. And corruption in the Philippines, from this point of view, at least from the data you can derive, is not abstract. It's concrete, visible, and lived,
Mm-mm.
seen every day. So while we have all the focus of the last 3 months, 2 quarters actually, on grand corruption, you know,
Mm.
which is what we see, the flood control scandal, which is important for us to find accountability and resolve the issue. Everyday Filipinos actually see corruption in the administrative or petty level.
Yeah.
See, it is important in that respect.
Right.
Yeah, they may not actually understand or are not directly affected by grand corruption, but every day, when they go to an office to get clearance,
Right.
licenses, all of which they need for their everyday lives, especially for applying in for work,
Mm-mm.
they have to go to this kind of administrative corruption,
And
petty
also,
corruption.
mm, and also, corruption happens on the road, Professor Ranjit.
Yeah,
When motorists committed violations or traffic violation, they will have to deal with a traffic officer, and they will discuss something that is outside of what is prescribed in their when it comes to catch or apprehending those violators.
Yeah, and this is not just administrative corruption. There's also political corruption. Vote buying.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and we found that vote buying was a problem identified in Visayas and Mindanao. And lo and behold, in our earlier surveys of last year, after the elections, vote buying was indeed experienced, perceived, highest in those areas.
Mm-mm.
So you have here forms of corruption. One is administrative and petty. That's bribery. The term we used in the survey is panunuhol.
Mm.
The other is grand corruption, the corruption that affects us all, but it's done really by, institutions in government. That's
Mm.
the misuse of public funds. Political corruption, vote buying, and how it affects democracy. Yeah?
Mm.
And then slow justice,
Mm-mm.
institution challenges
All right.
our court systems
Mm.
have.
Okay. All right. But is the public getting more outraged by petty corruption they encounter daily in their daily lives, and then billions lost in high-level scams like this one, the flood control controversy, Professor?
Yeah, I think in both cases, Filipinos are disappointed, they're outraged. In a separate survey um, uh, on corruption, we also asked the question of how prevalent is it, and why we haven't released this officially. 8 out of 10 Filipinos believe that they have to do it. There's a perception that you cannot access government services without giving a bribe. That's
Mm-mm.
8 out of 10. Jerome, that's kind of we
Yep.
haven't released it this officially, but this is part of a broader study. I'm talking to you, so
Mm-mm.
this is an exclusive for your show.
All right. Okay.
Yeah,
And that's a
uh,
lot. 8 out of
that's a
10.
lot. Nobody likes to do this. Can you imagine just accessing simple government services?
Mm-hmm.
That's a broad uh, uh, line, or concept that can be any service. But I presume it could be licenses, it could be any form of certification, it could be even simple government services,
Mm-hmm.
accessing medicine. It's so hard in the eyes of the everyday Filipino to access these services without
Mm-hmm.
panunuhol or bribing. So
Mm-hmm.
to answer your question, I think it's yes, and it's equally. We have a survey in the third quarter what they felt
Mm-hmm.
because of grand corruption that happened, the flood control scandal in particular. 6 out of 10 felt very clear anger and outrage.
Mm.
Nearly 30% felt a mix of fear and anxiety. And nobody likes corruption in this country. But the problem is,
We
I think
subscribe
we're
to it,
also we're also
whether we
we're
like
both
it or
the
not.
victims and the participants,
Mm-mm.
because it's a principal agent relationship, meaning
Mm-mm.
there's a supply and demand side, and Filipinos, not all of them, but Filipinos who, because of desperation
Mm-mm.
or because of habit, bribe officials, undermine processes, and
Mm-mm.
support the growth of this kind of negative bureaucratic behavior.
Mm. Okay.
We're both victims. At some level, we're also agents because we want to get the job, the
Mm.
access to services quickly. So we
Mm-mm.
do we do bribing. We
Mm-mm.
do negative bureaucratic behavior. We ask MPA, that's not the degree, but may padrino ako,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
go to
Or the
government
backer
offices.
system.
Yeah, when we go to the offices, government offices, we brandish our degree,
Mm.
MBA, may backer ako, and all of these contribute to that the continuing structural challenge of corruption, which
Mm.
by the way affects us in both political,
Mm-mm.
economic, you know,
Almost
I,
all of the
yeah. So,
sectors.
so socioeconomic impact is very high, I should say.
Mm.
But I want to say something, Jerome. Corruption is structural, but it's when
Mm-mm.
you look at the survey, it's experienced differently. There are shifts in the data. No, so when you look at from a class standpoint,
Mm.
the upper classes, class A, B, C, and middle classes, they worry more about grand corruption, the corruption you see in the flood control scandal.
Mm-mm.
When you look at the lower income classes, they're more affected by bribing, at the petty corruption,
Mm-mm.
vote buying, and slow justice. And when you go granular, some regions in the survey experience bribery more intensely, okay, than other places. So it
Mm-mm.
tells us that corruption is systemic.
Mm-mm.
It's rooted in weak institutional processes.
Mm-mm.
It's rooted in structures where you have monopolies of power,
Mm-mm.
where you have officials with wide discretion, and where transparency and accountability are almost absent. So
Mm-mm.
this is more nuanced findings.
Yeah.
But as we know, the problem is not just institutions. The fight against corruption is a fight that we all have to be we have to be all partners in.
Yeah. In fight.
The corruption is ours. We
Mm-mm.
all have to contribute in that common fight against
Mm-mm.
bureaucratic
Yeah.
negative bureaucratic behavior.
All right. Okay. Do you think there is more room for improvement when it comes to uh, red tapes or bureaucratic corruption?
Yeah.
And what can you say about the anti-red tape measures implemented by the government?
Well, okay, let me clarify. See, corruption is the misuse of government funds for private gain of individuals.
Mm.
They use government resources, whatever they are, to enrich themselves. Now, red tape, on the other hand, means something else. Red tape is the excessive government procedures that create inefficiency,
Mm.
okay, in the work of government and in the provision of government services. So two different things.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
one thing's for sure, we have already improved a lot as far as red tape is concerned.
Mm-mm.
A lot of government agencies, whether at the national or local level, have already digitized and moved to information or social media or information based or technology based platforms. There's really a big change from the over the last 10 years.
Mm-mm.
But the reality is we're not yet where we're supposed to be as far as providing efficient government services.
Mm, yeah.
Now, efficiency is one issue, and I'm sure that is a continuing challenge, a work in progress. But corruption is a different issue. Corruption is when government services are made systematically inefficient to enrich government officials, to enrich corrupt partners and stakeholders of government.
All
And you
right.
see control projects.
Okay.
But that takes a lot of institutional reform. And in the same report we submitted, uh, the challenge is
Mm-mm.
widespread and complex. It's not easy to solve this problem in a short period of time because
Mm-mm.
it takes structural reform. We suggested to the ombudsman to look into how do we standardize procedures, how do we use digital technology to lessen the impact of the middleman, how can the let's say for example the ombudsman organize more stronger audits on certain government
All right.
institutions. Definitely on the
Mm.
issue of vote buying, we need to have stricter implementation of
Okay.
existing electoral laws, and of course, our court systems. That's a whole big issue of how do we reform institutionally to make our court systems
Mm.
respond to the need for justice in our society.
Okay. All right. So we've seen the difference between the anti-red tape issues and also the corruption. So those two are a different thing, but nevertheless, they both affect Filipinos in general. Professor Ranjit, anti-red tape or corruption, they both affect Filipinos, but those are two different things to discuss for. Okay, so we have seen the top forms of corruption. So going back to the survey, Professor Ranjit, bribery, misuse of public funds, vote buying, slow justice. So how these issues affect the stability of administration leaders, not just in the department but in the entire government, Professor?
Well, okay. So corruption has a myriad or a lot of negative impact now on both the politics, governance, and as well as the socioeconomic context, no, or situation in a particular country. So, number one, uh, from a administrative standpoint, it creates all sorts of distortions and inefficiencies in terms of services. People are not able to get the best quality service or access resources because corruption distorts that process. People who follow the rules have to wait in longer lines, okay, or may not have access to those resources at all because they're not able to pay the lagay that's needed for better services.
Mm-mm.
Number two, we talk about petty corruption at the administrative level that feeds into the behavior, or it creates this behavior. You have to pay your way
Mm-hmm.
to engage with government. Resources are reallocated to corrupt officials instead of to those who are supposed to receive these resources. And you see that with the great flood control scandal. We're
Mm-mm.
supposed to get better flood control structures. Instead, we get ghost projects, no? And the
Substandard.
flood, yes, or substandard
Mm-mm.
projects that do not help us control or manage
Mm-mm.
floods during the rainy season. And the impact is obviously socioeconomic. It destroys the community when you're not able to get better roads, or in this case, flood control projects. It costs lives. Okay,
Mm-mm.
and it creates this general perception that it's more risky to invest in a country where corruption is rife, where there's no calculability, there's no transparency, there's no accountability. Why will you invest in a country like that?
Mm.
If you
Right.
open your economy, people will rather invest in a place where corruption is low, and business is predictable. Here, with corruption, it undermines everything. The rule of law. With corruption, it undermines the economy because it's riskier to invest in the economy. So all of these different types of corruptions, different phases of corruption have impact on our everyday lives and make us less and less uh, you know uh, uh,
Mm-mm.
a better place, no, a place
Mm-mm.
for
We're
investment,
being
no,
less
a viable
hopeful.
place for investment,
Mm.
less viable place for investment, and
Mm.
affects our development in general. So corruption has an impact. I don't understand some academics are saying that it's so common and widespread and therefore
Mm.
minimizing its impact. The impact is very clear. When you have vote buying, it undermines democracy in general.
Are you right?
Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
here's the issue here. The problem is not just
Okay.
institutions. The problem will have to be dealt with by us as reflecting as in not just as individuals but as citizens.
Okay.
You see, the study has three layers. There's perception, what we see; experience, what we've witnessed; attitude, what we think is sometimes justified. Because sometimes we justify corruption because we gotta get that job, so we have to
Yep.
get that clearance. We have to pay,
Mm-hmm.
So many Filipinos, in my view, no, corruption is wrong, admit it's widespread, but sometimes, no,
Mm.
uh, some of us justify or participate in it because we're under pressure. So the lines between victim and participant blurs, no, especially in vote buying and everyday bribery. This complicates the easy narrative of corrupt officials and systems versus innocent
Mm-mm.
citizens, and forces us to reflect that corruption is a complicated issue, and that we have a part in
Mm.
including in making in fighting corruption and minimizing it by acting as good citizens.
All right. Okay. A few more questions, Professor Ranjit. So, should we start the change from the grassroots level? Because we've discussed that this is not just the corruption doesn't happen only in a national setting, but also on a local setting, Professor Ranjit.
Yes, that's true. A reform must target both, the reform movement that is emerging, okay, and that's located both in government and civil society, the private sector. A lot of people want to help fight corruption. But the reform has to happen both at the level of institutions or systems, and also at the level of individual behavior. Okay, so
Mm-mm.
the deeper takeaway here, I already mentioned,
Mm-mm.
some of the suggestions of Okta. And by the way, the Office of the Ombudsman has responded very, how should I say,
Mm-mm.
efficiently and effectively to this particular data of bribery. So the first step in a series of reforms and initiatives they're going to push forward over the next few weeks. They started last week after we showed them the data. Now the ombudsman is going to place a resident ombudsman in specific offices, national offices first, then later local government units, national offices
Mm-mm.
that provides that are seen by the study as experiencing rampant bribery or rampant forms of administrative corruption. So they're
Okay.
going to put a resident ombudsman in licensing offices.
Okay.
They're going to put a resident ombudsman
Well, well,
office that provides certifications and all of this.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Resident ombudsman. So this is like a resident auditor in the
Yeah.
government. We already have a resident auditor coming from the Commission on Audit, and now, upon the recommendation of the ombudsman, as they saw this study, they have deployed, or I think they have deployed already, resident ombudsman, Professor Ranjit.
Yeah, they're deploying resident ombudsmen in specific institutions, because this is not, while the idea of a resident ombudsman is not new, they're revitalizing this whole setup
Mm-mm.
to make it more responsive to the findings of this survey. So if not all government offices have this kind of administrative corruption.
Mm-mm.
Not all government offices have negative bureaucratic behavior endemic in them, but
Mm.
certain offices
Okay.
identified in this survey,
All right.
certain services identified in this survey, are going to be the focus of this reallocation of resident ombudsman. Now, the COA is one thing, my friend Jerome, but
Mm-mm.
it's post audit, meaning it will make a report after you know the government has spent the money or provided the service. So it's really after, it's more reactive and after. Here you're going to have an ombudsman like a watchdog in the agency, and when people see that office, they can go directly to that office and say, hey, there's bribery in this particular licensing office. What are you guys going to do? And when you have an ombudsman in your own in the midst, it will be very hard, because the ombudsman has incredible powers. They can investigate quickly, they can file a case, they can do immediate initiatives to
Mm.
curtail this kind of negative bureaucratic behavior. So the more that the ombudsman is present in these specific agencies that provide specific services which experience rampant levels of corruption, I
Mm-mm.
think it's a good step forward.
Mm-mm.
It might not be the solution by itself, but it's a good start. And I think the ombudsman, I spoke to him yesterday, and he said, this is just one of many things he's going to do
Okay.
at the office. But let me clarify: the solution is nation. It's a whole of nation approach.
Right.
He emphasized that the ombudsman can only do so much. Government, the administration has to continue its anti-corruption reform initiative in the agencies, and people have to hold government accountable. So there should be reform in systems, and of course in behavior. No, so
Mm-hmm.
the stat prove, as you said, that it's cultural. The
Mm-mm.
stats prove that most Filipinos are corrupt. A
Mm-mm.
lot of Filipinos are law-abiding. They don't want to be part of this this movement, no, or this problem.
Okay.
Okay, they don't want to engage in negative bureaucratic behavior.
Mm.
What the study does show is something more serious. No? That corruption in the Philippines is, while it's widely recognized, regularly experienced,
Mm-mm.
um, it seems to be embedded, no, in the institutions and habits of institutions and the habits of our own people.
Great.
So so you ask yourself what we need to do at the grassroots level. I think it's really people have to rethink the way they behave.
All right.
If
Okay.
they bribe officials, they take part in corruption.
All right.
If
Okay.
they don't follow the rules, they're also not just taking
Mm,
part in inefficiency, they're creating all these conditions for corruption to
mm.
thrive in government agents. So
Oh,
we all have to take a part in fighting corruption.
okay. And after all, we are trying to eradicate or eliminate corruption with this, eliminate bribery and the misuse of public funds, and also, and we are trying to eradicate this vote buying because this is very harmful for our future of our country as we vote our politicians and at the same time it's 2 years away and we will be on election, so it's the responsibility of everyone, but not just in the government, but every Filipino to when it comes to dealing with the corruption in here in the Philippines and also in the government. All right, we don't have much time. Professor Ranjit, thank you so much for joining us in the program as we have the discussion regarding the survey that you released about the systemic corruption here in the Philippines. So thank you so much, Professor Ranjit Rai, fellow of the Octa Research.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right. Okay, and when we come back, we will have the Bureau of Immigration as we will get an update regarding the Mongolian spy that has been arrested or apprehended when they discovered that that spy is actually military or a highly trained fighter pilot coming from the China, or and we will get a clarification if that spy is a Mongolian or Chinese, and what happened here, or and what happens next as they caught that spy. So when we come back, we will have the Bureau of Immigration front and center. We'll be right back.
Paano nga ba mag-register para magkaroon ng schedule sa Bagong Pilipinas Presidential Action Center? Narito ang mga dapat gawin. Gamit ang iyong mobile device, pumunta sa eGovPH app. Pwede itong i-download mula sa Apple App Store o sa Google Play Store. Gumawa ng account. Ilagay ang email address, valid mobile number, pagkatapos ay makakatanggap ka ng one-time code sa iyong email. Gamitin ang code sa eGov app para sa verification ng iyong account at ng mga impormasyong ibinigay. Congratulations! Meron ka ng eGovPH app account. Pwede mo na ma-access ang iba't ibang serbisyo ng gobyerno kabilang ang mga serbisyo sa Bagong Pilipinas Presidential Action Center.
Sa isang bagong Pilipinas, hindi dapat makambang pamilyang Pilipino sa mga bayarin sa ospital. Kaya naman sa Zero Billing Policy, libre ang inyong paggamot sa lahat ng mga Department of Health hospitals. Mapa-inpatient, outpatient, o emergency services. Isama na rin ang mga mamahaling gamot, lab tests, therapy, at marami pang iba. Libre ang inyong paggamot. Ang pangangalaga sa kalusugan ng mamamayan ay ang ating pangunahing tungkulin dahil ang serbisyong medikal ay karapatan at hindi dagdag pasanin.
All right, well, we're back here on Front and Center on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Still with me, Jerome Toledo. So let's get an update regarding the apprehension of a 30-year-old spy from Mongolia that is being named Bold Erdin Bolbatar in Zambales. Has he caught or apprehended on suspicion of espionage-linked activities. And this national is a graduating student at an aviation academy in Iba, Zambales. At the time, authorities discovered that he is a highly trained jet fighter pilot. So let's get an update regarding this case. We now have on the line the deputy spokesperson of the Bureau of Immigration, Mr. Melvin Mabulak. Good morning, Deputy Spokesperson Mabulak. This is Jerome Toledo of Radio Pilipinas World Service. Welcome to the program, Front and Center.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning to all the listeners and televiewers of your program. Good morning.
All right. So, just to confirm, Deputy Spokes, the nationality of this spy is this spy Mongolian or Chinese?
Yes, Jerome, we were able to apprehend as a report. He's a Mongolian national. He is in the Philippines studying in the flying school.
Okay, but he was discovered that he is a highly trained pilot and got and obtained license from Chinese military.
Yes, Jerome, we're able to get information, of course, from our counterparts from other intelligence agencies of the government, and we're able to put in the puzzles. We're able to discover that this Mongolian national is studying here from a flying school. Is actually has a background of being a fighter pilot trained in China, which basically it's very surprising, but at the same time it would be a threat for us. That's why one of the things that we really need to coordinate with other intelligence units in the country.
Okay, so and now he's now detained in your facility, Deputy Spokes, and
Yes.
all right. And is there special security protocols in place given the national security nature of his arrest?
Yes, correct, Jerome. No, he is already with our jurisdiction. He was transferred to our warden facility, basically pending for deportation proceeding. However, this is being monitored strictly, of course, by our armed forces of the Philippines and other intelligence agencies in the government, considering of the nature of the offense committed by this subject.
Okay. Okay, given because he was caught having he's a member or he got a license and also he's a highly skilled jet fighter pilot. So where's the case being raffled here? Is this transferred to PNP or AFP or the National Security Council?
That's correct, Jerome. We have to clarify that on the part of the immigration, we file a deportation case based on the violation of the immigration law. However, if there are other law enforcement agencies, the security agencies that would, especially the AFP, would file another case, that would be the jurisdiction on their part. Though we can proceed with the deportation order, but once there's still accountability in other cases outside the immigration, we cannot implement a deportation order until the time it will be put in abeyance, Jerome. Then we have to wait until the time it was able to serve, if there is a penalty, if there's a resolution. But one thing, when we implement deportation, we would always seek clearances from other agencies to ensure that this subject, the deportee, will be accountable and was able to serve any accountability from other court of laws or from other jurisdictions.
Oh, okay, that's clear. And there will be a series of coordination between security agencies and law enforcement agencies as well. Okay, so I would like to know how did this spy manage to bypass initial background checks regarding his military history and his license from the People's Liberation Army Air Force Aviation University, Deputy Spokes.
Yes, we have to understand that we also depend on the declaration on the application. But even in the application, because he will not fall under student visa, that's 9F, he will fall under special study permit, considering that the nature of the study is not a 4-year course or degree. It is a short course, but still they are going to go into process. When they come here, he is a Mongolian, he is a non-visa required, meaning he can be admitted without securing visa, and he can apply for a special study permit. But in the application special study permit, Jerome, you have to go through process. You
Mm.
are not the very person. The student will apply for the permit, but it is the accredited school, and there is a school representative for that will file on your behalf.
Mm.
And when you're studying, securing a special study permit with a flying school, one of the requirements also is to secure NDI clearance.
Mm.
Then you need to have a clearance from our office wherein we're able to check
Mm.
from the Interpol derogatory list or from our own derogatory list if
Mm.
you are clear to be issued with a permit. Considering that he is compliant with those conditions, he was given a permit. But
Mm.
one thing that we need to check as well, there was it was for his own. He concealed his identity of having those training,
Mm.
which basically when we came to learn that, especially after he did, he was in his studying and flying school and had
Mm.
uh, taking picture on sensitive areas,
Yes.
contested areas. That's one of the red flags. That's why
Mm.
when we conducted and with the information being provided by our other intelligence agencies in the
Mm.
government, we're able to fill in the missing puzzle, and we're able to establish that indeed there was
Okay.
concealment of his true identity of
Mm.
having those trainings, and those are the things that Jerome, that we have to look into, and that could be a basis as well for the filing of the deportation
Case.
case.
Okay, so he seriously violated not just immigration laws but also security laws here in the Philippines. And also, is the Bureau of Immigration will investigate or conduct an investigation in the Aviation Academy, where is this spy enrolled?
Yes, so that would be part, but it is always in coordination with other agencies because when we speak about flying schools, it is being regulated as well by our Civil Aviation
Mm.
Authority of the Philippines, and we have a very strong relationship with them, and
Mm.
we are going to conduct, and it's very important for us that we have to see where are the gaps for this and be able to provide a solution for this to avoid recurrence such incident.
Okay. Okay. So, given that we have discovered the spy who has a license from the Chinese military university and also a skilled fighter jet pilot, would the moving forward, would the agency be involved or will conduct full audit of all foreign flight students currently enrolled here in the Philippines to ensure
Uh,
that their background
yes,
match their declarations?
yes, that's correct, Jerome. That's part of the protocol actually.
Mm.
Even as early as years before, our the concerned office of the Bureau of Immigration is conducting ocular inspection, visiting flying schools. That's one of the things, and we are part of it is also checking the background, and we ensure the public that we're going to even more check and verify on the profiles of those students
Mm.
who are actually coming here, especially for the flying school. Even if you look into the requirements for the application of the permit, we even require them to submit an NBI clearance to ensure that they don't have any dero list. However, still they were able to
Mm.
come into and be able to enroll, and that's one thing that we are looking into, Jerome.
Okay, okay. A few more questions, Deputy Spokes. Okay, so I wonder if you can answer this. So, what happens to those belongings of the spy and the photographs he captured while he's enrolled?
That would be part of the investigation. The intelligence group, we have to understand possibility, is this a network, or this is with his a sort of his the lone uh, uh, person conducting this, your espionage. But that was part of the investigation being conducted not only of the immigration,
Okay.
of our intelligence division, but at the same time with other intelligence agencies of the Philippine government. And we have a very, very strong coordination with them, and we are sharing information that's very important for us to ensure that what we do will strengthen the screening and the verification of foreign nationals who are here in the country.
Okay. I would like to go back to the previous question. So, regarding the audit of foreign flight students, I wonder how many foreign flight students do we have here in the Philippines so far?
Sorry, Chair, I don't have the statistics, but basically, a flying school could able to admit foreign students if they were able to secure accreditation from the Bureau of Immigration. At the same time, from, of course, the regulating body that is the for the flying school is the CAAP, and those are the things that they need to secure. This is not only within Luzon, because there are times our personnel in charge for this, they are visiting, conducting ocular inspection even in the Visayas, in Mindanao. This is nationwide, and those are the things that we need to check, because the area wherein this Mongolian spy was apprehended is located in Zambales, bit near to the contested areas in the West Philippine Sea, and that is the thing that a red flag came out and triggered to conduct further investigation, verification. Jerome.
Okay. So, has the Mongolian government reached out to the Immigration Bureau regarding the suspect's detention?
So far, I don't have any information yet when it comes to the coordination. But in coordination with with foreign embassies, this is basically very strong on the part. That's the strength of the Bureau of Immigration.
Okay.
I believe so. There is ongoing coordination with that, with our intelligence division, with our office and other intelligence agencies of the government, Jerome.
Okay. All right. Just one question. Quick question before I let you go. So, how would the immigration plans to combat the entry of these people pretending to be civilian, but it turns out to be part of a foreign military organization?
That's one thing we need to have. We need to strengthen, but basically, what we need also is the, also the community. They could able to inform the immigration when there are times that sometimes the government could not able to see 24/7 and monitor them, and we ask also the help of the community. But at the same time, we're looking into we're coordinating with other regulating bodies and other with the armed forces of the Philippines. How can we more strengthen our monitoring with this type of foreign national who are coming here to conduct such very sensitive activity.
Okay, all right. Very well said, and we will closely watch and in this case of Mongolian spy. Thank you so much for joining us in the program, for giving us an update regarding the case of the Mongolian spy that has been apprehended here in the Philippines. Thank you, Deputy Spokesperson of the Bureau of Immigration, Mr. Melvin Mabulak.
Thank you, Sir Jerome. Mabuhay po kayo.
All right, and with that, we now conclude this edition of Front and Center on Radyo Pilipinas World Service, together with our technical team headed by Mr. Milo Junella, on Wirecast, Hiro Lucero, and audio streaming, Mr. Leo Magpayo. This is your host, Jerome Toledo. Until next time, mabuhay.
You have just heard and watched Front and Center. Front and Center. Join us again for another edition here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Front and Center.